welcome to the Base Camp videos. I'm your barista, Jerri Barr, and during this time of social distancing, I really want to make sure that you guys who come to Base Camp have the opportunity to make those fancy drinks at home. Because we all know Sunday morning is our one indulgence. We get our fancy drink, we get our donut, we have socialization. Obviously I can't help you with donuts, but I can help you with fancy drinks. So we're going to teach you how to do this, even if you don't have a fancy machine. So let's start. What's the difference between coffee and espresso? The definition of espresso is boiling water pressed up to 9 bars of pressure. That's around 14.5 pounds of pressure per square inch. There is no way you're going to get that pressure at home without a fancy machine, okay? But we've got a couple ways where you can get something close, but you know, it just won't be quite the same. What kind of bean should I use? Traditionally, people use a dark bean, a darker roast bean, higher quality bean, but really you can use any bean that you want because it's really a matter of how finely ground it is. The finer the ground, the more oil from the bean gets used by that water and flavors that water and makes it darker and better. And so it just depends on what your taste is, what you want to use. The reason for pressing that grinds, as I said, is the oil is released, which gives coffee that deep, rich flavor. So if you own your own grinder, hopefully it has settings from coarse to fine to very fine. And the finer the grind, again, the more you get out of your bean. So pick your level of grinding to match your level of taste. People will ask, can you use pre-ground coffee? Absolutely. That's what your taste is. Go for it. And the taste will vary from what you get from a specialty shop since that pressure isn't the same, but the concepts are still there. So if you don't have your own coffee press or a fancy machine, the alternative is what's called a French press. And it comes in basically 2 parts, the cafe and then the actual press. And the press has basically a filter that'll help you keep that coffee grounds from getting into your actual coffee or espresso. But it is a good way to get more mileage out of your ground coffee. So I start by placing 1 scoop, this is about a tablespoon, of my ground coffee into the container. And then I just pour however much amount of water I want over it. An espresso shot is usually about 1.5 ounces. I'm gonna do a little bit more than that. So you pour it in, your hot water. You let it set for a minute or 2. We're not gonna wait quite that long because these are short videos. But then you put your press top on and you slowly, do not do this fast, slowly press the grinds to the bottom of the coffee, okay? And let it, you know, when you get down to the bottom, press as hard as you can without breaking the container. Mine is glass, therefore, you know, I don't want to go wham. That might just create a little mess for your dog or cat that you don't really want, okay? Once you've done that, then I pour it into the coffee mug that I'm using. So that's step 1. The next thing is we use a lot of steamed milk in our cappuccinos, our macchiatos, our mochas. So if you don't have a steamer at home, you can cheat like I do. A lot of the fancy machines come with steam wands and frothers. I don't have any of those. So I just put my milk into a mason jar, tighten the lid, and shake it really, really good. It'll get your milk nice and frothy, okay? Then what you're gonna do is you're gonna take this lid off. Hey! Lovely mason jars. And then you're going to put the mason jar into the microwave for about 30 seconds. The larger the jar, the little longer you'll need to go, but that'll just heat and steam that milk up. Please take the lid off. These are metal. It will fry your microwave, okay? So please take the lid off when you're nuking it. And then you can just pour that right in according to the recipe. I usually fill it about halfway with either whole milk or 2% milk. You can use any kind of milk. You could even use heavy cream if you wanted to. Just be careful. Heavy cream, if you shake it too much, will turn into butter. I've done that before. But it really helps when you use that and it gets you that nice frothy milk. So some basic guidelines. Like I said earlier, espresso is generally just 1.5 ounces of your hard pressed coffee, okay? An Americano, you take that espresso, you pour it in, top it off with hot water. Easy peasy. Lattes are our next one. You take your espresso, so you pour it in, and I'm actually going to do this real fast. So we're going to pour in the espresso, and then you're going to pour steamed milk on top. Now from your jar, I don't know if you can see, I've got froth at the top and then the milk's on the bottom. So you just kind of hold that froth back with a spoon and let the milk go on top, okay? And it's usually about the same amount of milk as espresso. And then you take that froth, see it's nice on my spoon, and you just lay it on top to give it that nice frothy top, okay? And then you have your whole cappuccino. And if you want to, you can take that spoon, go underneath the froth, and just mix it up real nicely so that that milk blends with that coffee, but you still get that nice frothy top. I've become a real expert at getting the spoon underneath the froth to mix it so I don't mix up the bubbles. The next drink is the cappuccino. So it's very much like the latte, except you put twice as much milk foam on top of your espresso and steamed milk. A macchiato is espresso with just the foam. And a mocha, you put in your coffee, then you put in syrup, about 1 ounce. So that's about to the top of this shot glass right here, okay? That's about 1 ounce of chocolate syrup. And then you put your steamed milk and your milk foam, both in equal parts to the amount of espresso that you use. And those are the basic fancy drinks. So you may notice that sometimes we offer you toppings for your drink. Here at Base Camp, we have whipped cream, my favorite. We have milk chocolate, and we just use, you know, a regular chocolate syrup like you would use on ice cream. A dark chocolate syrup, which we buy special. Caramel topping or caramel sauce, and we use the ice cream topping. We do have a vendor that we buy specialty sauce from, but you can use just the simple ice cream caramel topping that you get at the store. Sometimes on top of our whipped cream, we do pumpkin pie spice, especially for our pumpkin flavored drinks. Nutmeg on our fall flavored drinks. Cinnamon is good any time of year, but especially around Christmas. And then we also have chocolate powder. So those are the basic toppings. Most people have some of these things in their home already. This isn't the limit. You can do, I've had people put graham crackers. I've had people put smushed animal crackers, smushed gingerbread. You can top it with just about anything you can imagine that you're willing to drink. If you're not going to drink it, you know, if it's not something you would eat, don't put it in your drink. Just seriously, there are some combinations out there that are interesting. Where do we get our flavored syrups? I order them directly from one of our vendors because that's what's easiest for me, but you can get them at most of your local discount stores. You just sometimes don't get the seasonal varieties that I can get going directly through our vendor. The top 4 manufacturers are Torani, Moen, Da Vinci, and Skinny Syrups. Those tend to be the 4 vendors that we use. But there's other vendors out there. Just depends on what your tastes are. And there's different kinds of, for the sugar-free flavors, different kinds of, what are they called? Alternative sugars. And you just need to read and see which ones are the ones that work with what you're doing at home. Because obviously you don't want to use a fake sweetener that's not right for your diet. If you have any questions, please feel free to comment. We'll try our best to answer. But this does it for our very first episode of Base Camp. So thank you very, very much for joining us, and we hope this helps you have your favorite flavored coffee drinks at home.